Bernie Sanders on the line with us. His website, sanders.senate.gov. Senator, welcome back.
Good to be with you, Tom.
It's always great to have you. The economy, I mean, even in the Republican debates last night, the economy, everybody's talking about the economy. The big headlines today in the Financial Times about concerns that the banksters are still holding so much toxic debt that even the banks may be going down in Europe, which could then bring it here. Your thoughts on what's going on with the economy and the political state of things. Have we talked since the downgrade, the credit downgrade?
I don't know. We did.
Seems like that was last week. In any case, let me just toss it to you. Get your thoughts on all these things.
Here's what we got. Obviously, the issue of the economy is paramount on people's minds for good reason. The people are suffering the economy. You can't run away from it. It's there. One thing we have to be very clear about is that when we talk about unemployment, the newspapers tell you that unemployment is 9.1% or whatever. That's just the official unemployment statistic. The real statistic is over 16%. About 25 million Americans are unemployed.
Yep.
They've
given up. They're not part of the statistics anymore. And those many millions of others who are working part-time rather than working full-time as they would want. And then you got millions more, including a whole lot of older workers, who are now earning significantly lower wages than they used to. They lost their good-paying jobs and now working at wages that pay half or three-quarters of what they used to pay, and often the benefits are worse. You're looking at young workers. When you look at unemployment, it's not the level is not the same for everybody. If you're upper income, unemployment is fairly low, actually. But if you're a kid getting out of high school, you're talking about very, very high unemployment. And just think about what it means to a nation to have a kid who graduates high school, go out, look for a job, and 1 year, 2 years, 3 years later still doesn't have a job. What does that mean to that, not only to that young person's life, but to his ability to gain the skills that he or she needs to perform effectively in the job market? So we got a disaster. There is no question about it. And many of the economists are suggesting that unless there's some very bold action coming from, in fact, the government, we're going to continue to see this type of economic stagnation. To my mind, especially with interest rates as low as they are right now, now is the time to start creating the millions of jobs that we desperately need. And there are a lot of obvious ways. You don't have to be a PhD in economics to figure it out. If you get in your car and you drive down your street, if it's in Vermont or anyplace else, you're going to find your streets are in disrepair, your roads are in disrepair, bridges falling down and unpassable, unusable. You're going to have a public transportation system which is very weak and declining compared to Europe and Japan in terms of rail. Our airports are in major need of repair and improvements. So we can and should be investing very substantially in our infrastructure. And when you do that, you're going to create over a period of time millions and millions of jobs that's sitting there waiting to happen.
We had Jan Schakowsky on this program yesterday, and she laid out a bill that she's introducing to the House of Representatives that would basically take taxes on millionaires and billionaires back to where they were under the Clinton administration, and it would put over 2 million people back to work almost immediately.
Well, that's exactly the kind of direction that we've got to be moving. And Jan's doing a great job in the House. And we'll work with Jan on something very similar to that. So you got that whole area. Yesterday I was in Barrie, Vermont, at a housing development. We managed to get them some money for solar hot water heating for the housing development. Tom, I used to live in Montpelier, so you know where Barrie is.
Yeah.
But this project will save 5,000 gallons of oil for this housing development. And we're doing that all over the state. So if we move to solar hot water, if we started building that technology right here in the United States, if we moved aggressively to solar, wind, geothermal, biomass, we can make our country far more energy independent and create jobs right here in America. So transforming our energy system is not only the right thing to do in terms of global warming, cutting back on greenhouse gas emissions, and making us energy independent and not getting us involved in Mideast wars. It is also important in terms of job creation. And the third issue, where we have almost no discussion at all, because on this issue, All of the media is agreed, and the big money interests are agreed, and the Republicans are agreed, and many Democrats are agreed. But you got to take a hard look at our trade policy. We have 3 new trade agreements coming down the pike: Panama, Colombia, and South Korea, part of the same movement toward unfettered free trade. And yet, it's astounding to me how little serious discussion there is in the media to ask the simple question: have our trade agreements over the last 30-plus years, have they worked for the American worker? And the answer is obvious to everybody who walks into a store and can't buy a product made in the United States, to everybody who knows that we've lost 50,000 factories in the last 10 years and millions of good-paying manufacturing jobs, who sees now high-tech, white-collar jobs going to India and other countries, is, of course, our trade policy. Unfettered free trade has not worked. Is trade a good thing? Yes, it is. Is unfettered free trade good? No, it's not. How do you develop trade policies with the goal of creating good-paying jobs in America? Well, that we really have not discussed. No media discussion about that at all. Very little discussion in Congress. The American people, by the way, understand it, but corporate America is very determined to continue this effort to deindustrialize the United States and move our manufacturing base to China and other developing countries where wages and environmental standards are much lower. So when we talk about creating jobs, we have got to talk about absolutely demanding, that corporate America start reinvesting in America and rebuilding our manufacturing sector. The fact is that for many years now, the major corporations in this country have been creating jobs. Unfortunately, those jobs have been in China and many other countries. I caught just for a second, I had a hard time watching the Republican debate, but this gentleman, what's his name?
Huntsman, John Huntsman.
John Huntsman was caught. Somebody asked him the question about his company created 12,000 new jobs and 10,000 of them were in China. But that's just typical. That is what's going on for virtually every large company in the country, and we've got to reverse those policies.
Yeah, and we really, you're so right. We really have not had a conversation about this since Ross Perot was in the '92 election.
And you know why, Tom? Because if you go to every editorial page of every major newspaper, free trade, unfettered free trade, and these trade policies are supported, continue to be supported. It is what the big money interests want.
Who own all the newspapers now? Yeah,
but that's been when NAFTA. When we debated NAFTA, when I was in the House, that was the same thing then. This is a huge issue, and we need to force that discussion. Because in my view, and I think in the view of most Americans, you're not going to have the kind of economy that can sustain a middle class unless we are manufacturing the products that we consume. We cannot simply be a country in which we are dispensing products made in China. So those are some of the issues that I think we need to talk to. And in addition to that, I was just reminded the other day of Abraham Lincoln 150 years ago talking about, can a nation survive half slave and half free? You remember that?
Sure.
And I'm wondering now whether we survive when you have 400 people at the top owning more wealth than the bottom half of America. Can you survive with that kind of income and wealth disparity, where so few have so much and so many have so little?
That is a profound question. That's brilliant. We're talking with Senator Bernie Sanders. It's our national town hall meeting, Brunch with Bernie. Time for your questions for the senator. Give us a call, and you get to go on the air with Senator Bernie Sanders and ask whatever it may be. We'll be right back.